when you made this decision to run against her again, were you looking at some data, like polling wise, that maybe suggested her approval rating isn't where it needs to be, or that she's vulnerable to a challenge? Because she is one of the most like established Democrats. She's going to have obviously all the money on her side, all the endorsements on her side. What made you think like this is actually possible?
Okay, I will tell you, but I have to address the people that are trolling me for the Julian Assange comment, because this has been going on for 3 years and they have to let it go. First of all, I'm a person who held a telethon for Julian Assange, which got me basically frigging shadow banned permanently. Like, so I have been in not only promoting behind the scenes and working as much as I can. I have had Stella Morris, Gabriel Shipton on my show. I know John Shipton. I'm the one who hosted the event locally for Julian Assange. What you are referencing was me saying that if I were one of Nina's campaign people, that I don't think it would be wise during that campaign to drive out of her district and go to a rally for Julian Assange. Okay. So people who are still harping on, and by the way, I didn't tell her that. And even if I did, I'm not the boss of her anyway, but it's like, let it go, people. I have been fighting for Julian Assange for the past like 15 years.
I didn't even know about that, to be honest. What happened? You suggested to Nina Turner that she
didn't suggest anything to Nina. We were doing our podcast and someone said something about Nina should be doing this. And I said, on our podcast, I said, I don't know. Right now, she's in the middle of a certain campaign. I don't know if that would be in the best interest for her to go out of her district, by the way, which is where it was, and go do something that may only be negative for her campaign. I never spoke to Nina. I never advised Nina. And I have done everything in my entire public life to promote everything about Julian Assange. So the fact that they're harping on a statement that I said regarding Nina's campaign strategy 3 years ago is absurd. Get over yourselves.
Our chat is a little nutcase. I wouldn't take it to heart. I mean, it's crazy.
It's absurd. It's like I have like an entire lifetime of being a proponent and an advocate. And you could look at anything I've ever written. I have over 3.5 years of content that says what I stand for. So to harp on something regarding campaign strategy is stupid. Okay. And that's how come a lot of people don't win. You have to also be strategic. This isn't just about bleeding. I am the most bleeding heart person you will probably ever meet in this business, literally. And it's like, there is something called strategy. And that's where we also have to be. You know, that's what allows us to be able to do anything. So it's just very frustrating. If you want to come at me for something that is what I believe, not for an offhand comment about what it would be strategic for Nina's campaign. Yeah, just whatever. Anyway, so I'm sorry. Tell me, you want me to talk about about the district?
Oh yeah, like just what kind of signs you've seen pointing to her unpopularity, why you think that a challenge against her would actually be possible or realistic.
Yeah. So, Debbie is really not popular. And I know this because, first of all, we live in a closed primary plus 12 blue now. It was actually more blue, like it's actually gotten lower district, meaning if you're not registered as a Democrat, you can't vote in our primary. So we get a 14% voter turnout rate in a primary. Of those, maybe a little bit more than half are Democrats. And then of those, how many have to vote for Debbie? So she really only sits there due to a very small minority. The problem is, as you all know, getting the people we need to vote and to give a crap. And that's hard. And people are very defeatist and I can't blame them. And I hear myself saying, I'm running as a Democrat, and it sounds absurd to me too. But the reality is, like I said, it's strategy. This is my district. And when I registered to vote, when I turned 18, I was more aligned with Democrats than I was with Republicans. And I grew up in working class family and everybody was Democrat. So I'm a Democrat because that's what I always was. And if I'm not registered as a Democrat, then I can't participate in my county's politics here. So when people bitch about that, it pisses me off. But anyway, so she is in there by not a majority of people. And now our district lines have changed. And she's lost we lost all of what was part of Miami-Dade County that was in our district. And that is a very, very sizable Jewish population that are the people that are right now like hating on me. So again, the district lines have shifted in our favor. And the truth is she's not popular. The people that support her are more scared of her than like her. I always say she has sycophants, not supporters. And it's really true locally. But so many people have come up to me, even people that she thinks are allies and she thinks are friends, and have said things to me like, please save us from her. I'll never say that publicly. I mean, it's so I have a lot of reason to believe that there's not a lot of favorability toward her in a lot of, even within the party, even within our DEC, our executive committee in Broward. And I'm not involved in it. I don't play in their sandbox. I do not give them a dime. But just, from knowing people, and I occasionally will go to a meeting here and there to see, what's going on. But I don't think she's very popular. I really, and her voters die off every year exponentially more so. Like, new people are not coming out of high school and registering to vote and being like, yeah, I got to get with the drug warrior who says marijuana is a gateway drug. Like, so her voters die off. I mean, I know that sounds morbid.
No, I mean, it's kind of the, it makes sense, right? One question that I had is, does the DNC chair resignation, does that like tarnish her reputation, or is that just something that jabronis like us reminisce about on the internet when we're like, she fucking stole it from Bernie? Anyway.
Oh, you mean with Bernie Sanders? I mean, I was
Bernie Sanders and the email scandal. I'm just curious, is that something that's at all like something that you can use as a political cudgel? Because it was a huge scandal in people like our lives, but I don't know how much it actually impacts her, congressional district.
Well, it has permanently stained her nationally, and it had angered basically anybody who was a Bernie supporter has a very bad taste in their mouth about my congresswoman, which is unusual. Most people, like if you are in Missouri and you're running, I don't know who your congressperson is, but because of Debbie and what she did, that's the reason that when we ran in 20 and I had zero name recognition to begin with, we were able to bring in $400,000 from every single state in the country except Wyoming. But let me give a shout out to Wyoming, because I said that the other day on my show. And then just the other day, I got a check for my campaign that said gift from Wyoming, because I had called out Wyoming as not donating in 20. So love to you, Wyoming. But anyway, so
you said $400,000 from every state.
Well, total, like all, like.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought you meant from every. I was like, Jesus.
Oh, good God, no.
That makes a lot more sense.
No, I just mean it was such a Herculean group effort, and somebody in most cases running for Congress won't get that level of interest and support because most people won't know who their incumbent is.
Right.
But in that way, Debbie is a gift.
Yeah.
She is a gift in a lot of ways. And her hubris knows no bounds. So she'll just keep going every day. But guys, just keep watching her regarding the hostages in Israel. Please let her keep walking herself down that.
Yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned that like some of the more Jewish heavy areas were kind of against you or antagonistic towards your campaign. I'm guessing that's because of your difference of opinion with Debbie when it comes to Israel and what's happening in Gaza right now. Do you want to just talk a little bit more about that? And are you planning on making that issue like central to this campaign?
So I have been making that Israel issue central since October of 22 on my podcast, when we launched a series called Deconstructing Zionism. And I want to pause. And I want to show you, go to the second bullet point. That's all you need. That's all you need. And I have 3.5 years of content on my show that flat out goes all into the details on it and everything. I have been harping on this repeatedly since October 7th. I am very anti-Zionist. I was raised Zionist. It's taken me the better part of, 10, 15 years to deprogram. It's been hard. It's been painful. But now I'm like way past that now. And so the reason I just kept it simple here is because really I am going to be AIPAC's #1 enemy that they've never seen before. And between June and August, I'm going to be the only primary going on. And I know that they're coming for me. And I told them to bring it because I'm not scared of AIPAC. But they will have money, and they'll be putting out calling me a self-loathing Jew, and I don't know, or I'm a Hamas lover or whatever. I don't know. They'll have a picture of me standing with a sign at the National March in November with a divest funds from Israel sign, whatever it is. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I am so comfortable with my position on this and so confident. I've talked about it endlessly over the past even 2 weeks. Guys, check out my interviews on Kim Iverson and Katie Halper. But yeah, no, I saw somebody ask, not only, first of all, AIPAC would never offer me money. They hate me. So the fact of asking if I would take their money is kind of funny to me. I decided about a year and a half ago that very well could be the hill that I die on. And it was at that point, I remember there was some horrible thing happened in Palestine, some little boy, some horrible thing. I don't even remember. And I remember forwarding that picture to my business partner and saying, get ready, because this is going to be the hill that I'm going to die on. And it could ruin everything, in terms of electability and all that stuff. But I said, you know what? I just got to be out there and own it. And it is what it is. So, and now, of course, that image has been added to at a level that I cry every morning. I force myself to watch it every single day because I feel like I have to bear witness. And it's, again, this is it. But by cutting out that portion of our district that's Dade County, we did significantly reduce the Jewish population in my district. And we still have that. I mean, look, there's no shortage of Jewish people all around me, as I am one. But a lot of the very Zionist people tend to vote Republican here. And that's always been the case. Like, since I grew up, like, that's just how it's been. You have a lot of Jubins that are Jewish Cubans, and most of them vote Republican. And you have a lot of the really religious Orthodox people tend to be registered Republican here. So again, I only have a Democratic primary. So it's all just like, again, our district is so interesting and unique. And I just think that's why it's like people criticize that they don't understand that there's a strategy to everything,
For sure.
Go ahead. Jack. Sorry.
I was just going to ask one other follow-up. People are asking outside of, Israel and Gaza. And one question I had that stood out about your policy platform, and we can throw it back up here, is that you talked about how you wanted to repeal right to work in your state. And I just feel like this is a thing that a lot of people on the left don't talk about enough, but it's so critical. So we had this big fight when Gavin and I were first starting to write about politics in Missouri. It was the Josh Hawley race, and he was running as like a pro right to work candidate in Missouri. And a lot of people's livelihood, and particularly downtown Kansas City, where like an old manufacturing town, a lot of people's livelihood is tethered to the big union density in downtown Kansas City, whether it's Teamsters, whatever. And then on the Kansas side, it's like, bro, I hate to say it, but it's a lot more proliferation of hiring people who are undocumented, a lot of exploitation, a lot of fucking because it's just something that's not looked at. I know Florida's also a right to work state. People have been very excited about unionization efforts here.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, one of the things that we point to highlight the difference between a blue president and a red president is the NLRB.
That's it. It's all you got. So you better harp on it.
I know, right? I mean, yeah, it is. It's literally all we have, unfortunately.
It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough for me. I'll tell you that.
I don't plan to vote for Joe Biden at all. I'm just saying that people ask it. Yeah.
Universe. Where in that we are so far past that now. Attention, Chuck Schumer. You are 3 months plus late to that party. At this point, the people that didn't say anything, you had maybe a 2 or 3 week grace period in the beginning when people maybe could have claimed that they didn't really know and they didn't say blah, blah, blah. Anything past that? No, you're too late to that party. I mean, you're irredeemable. And it's just at this point, it's just the fact that we're talking about that. But regarding labor, I will give him slight props, although he did screw the railroad workers.
The rail union, yeah.